Hello, this is Satya Prakash Tripathi, and this is my sixth video on entity framework code first approach. So in our previous video, we had started discussing on the inheritance strategies, and we had discussed on the table per hierarchy approach. So we had discussed how to create the tables using the table per hierarchy approach. Okay, and what are the disadvantages of that approach? So in our today's video, we would extend the same topic, okay, and discuss on the table per type approach. So like before starting, I would request everyone to just go through my previous videos so that you can understand that what exactly I am talking about. So to start with, in the table per hierarchy approach, for the entire hierarchy, we had just one table here, means their contacts table. So I have got the previous code for this entire hierarchy. For the contact, for the email, and for the cellular, we had just one table. Now in the table per type approach, in the table per type approach, one table is created for each entity. That is, for the abstract class, we would have a table. For that email class, we would have a separate table, and for the cellular entity as well, we would have a separate table. Okay, and the relationship between the tables, means the relationship between the entities would be maintained in the database using the foreign key association. So to start with, let's start coding, okay, and then understand the approach and the differences. So here we have the same solution that we had used in the table per hierarchy approach. In order to create separate table for each of these derived classes, we have to add certain attributes here, and these are called data annotations. So we have to specify the table name that would get created and would correspond to each of these entities. Before that, let's add using system dot component model dot data annotations dot schema. and here let's add the table attribute and add the table name that would get created, email, contact, let's copy this, same thing on this entity. Let's change the table name cellular contact. Now let's build the code. Let's change the database name so that I can show you that the difference between the tables created using the table per hierarchy and the table per type approach. Okay. Now in the package manager console, let's type in enable migrations to create the databases and all. So enable migrations, and this would generate the migrations folder, and it would have that configuration, the file here. Let's add this code that we had used in our previous class, and and what it would do is it would insert records when the database gets created. So like we are inserting an email record and a record of type cellular. Let's build. Okay, now let's type in add migration, the schema name, and it would create one more file here. And this file would have all the information about the entities that have been created and have not been pushed in the database yet. And their final command, update database hyphen verbose. There is a space here. Okay. So it should create the database and insert the records as well. So as of now they don't exist. Now they exist because it has been created. Okay. So you can see that we have these three tables that correspond to these three entities, means these three classes. We have this cellular contact, and it has these two columns, the mobile and the office phone, that corresponds to these two properties. And apart from that, we have the contact ID column, that was created by the entity framework itself, and this is that foreign key that references the contacts. It references the contacts table. So like this is how the inheritance is maintained in the database. Now for that email as well, we have this email contact table, and it has these two columns that correspond to these two properties, and it has that contact ID as well that references the contact ID of that contacts table. Now let's expand this my database that we had created in our previous class through that table per hierarchy approach. So like here you can clearly see that normalization is not maintained. Everything has been just bundled together. Now here you can see that normalization is maintained. The other difference is the mobile, the column is represented as null. Okay, although it was integer here. So ideally it should have been not null, but the reason being that this table, it has records for both the email contact and the cellular contacts. So that email contacts, they won't have their data for their mobile. So and hence the mobile column, it was set as null here, and it was done by the entity framework itself. But here you can see that it has been set as not null. Now let's come to the data part. So in the data, the contacts table has these two entries. The table has the entry only for the cellular record that we had here, and the email one has only the record for the email contact. Now one more thing here, that in order to create this is three different tables, we had taken the approach of data annotations, but there is one more approach, and it is called the Fluent API. So although we have not discussed about it, but in our later videos we would like discuss on that. So in order to implement that, you just go to your DB context class and then just write protected override on model creating, and here model builder dot entity, then your entity email dot to table, and the table name, email contacts, and one more, cellular and cellular contacts. So I would quickly delete this migrations, and I would change in the app.config, I would change the database to database 2. In the package manager console, I would just type in enable migrations, and then add migration, TPT schema, and then I would write the update database command. So as of now, I am not inserting anything. This is just to show you that how this approach works. Database hyphen verbose, so it should create one more database. Let's refresh. Okay, so it has created and it has these 3 tables. Okay, so thanks for watching, and we would meet again in our next video.